Hello friends, today we are going to talk about a new series of lecture that is related to immunity or immunology. Uh, so first of all, let me tell you what is immunity. Obviously, you know that immunity is basically a natural defense of our body against the invading foreign particles like bacteria and viruses. So in today's lecture, we will be talking about two types of immunity: innate immunity and acquired immunity, and their several concepts. And we will also talk about the types of adaptive immunity, and in the next videos we will talk about the cells that are involved in immunity one by one, how they are activated, how they are formed from bone marrow to the affected tissue. We will discuss all the basic concepts. So first of all, let's start with the types of immunity. We know that there are two basic types of immunity. That the first one is uh, innate immunity, and the second one is acquired or adaptive immunity. Okay, so innate immunity is the immunity that is from the birth. We are having a immunity that is from the at the time of birth, and that is very non-specific. What is non-specific? I will explain it. Non-specific, like this is the immunity that we are having at the time of birth. We have not been exposed to any antigen right now. Still, we are having a kind of immunity in our body, and the purpose of this immunity is just to differentiate between self antigen and foreign antigen. If there is a foreign antigen, if there is a non-self antigen, obviously they will go, they will attack, and they will destroy that particular antigen. This is the reason. It is not. It will not work like adaptive immunity that will work against a very specific antigen, and this adaptive immunity require exposure of antigen. When antigen will be exposed to our body, antigen will be exposed to our body will start producing T cells and B cell against specific that particular antigen. So this is the reason this adaptive immunity is very specific. Very specific immunity against a particular antigen. This will work, and if we will not having at this kind of immunity from the since the time of our birth, we will get later on after exposure of antigen. As we will keep on exposing to antigen, different type of antibodies and different type of cytotoxic T cell will keep on forming. So this is the reason, this is the adaptive immunity that we will get later on in our life after the exposure of that particular antigen. But this is the innate immunity that is we will be already having in our body since the time of birth. Okay, it does not need any kind of pre-exposure. So innate immunity basically, still we can divide it into first line defense. We can divide into second line defense. So what is first line defense? Obviously, like our skin that is protecting our body from invasion of foreign particles. There, you know that lots of microorganisms or bacteria are present in the air, but they are not getting into our body just because of this protective layer of skin. So this skin or this protection we are having from the since our birth. We didn't get our skin after our antigen, we were exposed to antigen. So this skin or this other organs like mucous membrane that is present in our intestinal tract, like hair that are present in our nostrils, like HCl that is present in our stomach, it is protecting us from invasion of foreign particles. So this is the first line defense of innate immunity. Okay, let me give you example like HCl that is present in our stomach, and like mucus, and like skin that is protecting us from the foreign particles. Second line defense, basically there are some particular cells that are related to innate. They does not require any exposure. They are present in different tissues, and they will be responsible to identify, they will be responsible to differentiate between self antigen and non self antigen, foreign antigen. Okay, for example, if I give you example like uh, neutrophils like macrophages, like natural killer cells. So these are the cells that are present in different tissues. Okay, for example, macrophages, they are mature monocytes and they are present in all of the tissues of the body, and they are named according to different tissues. Like the macrophages that are present in our skin, they are called as Langerhans cells. The macrophages that are present in our liver, they are called as Kupffer cells. The macrophages that are present in our brain, they are called as microglia. So these are different types of cells that will be responsible to attack on any invading particles. They do not need any kind of specification. Irrespective, they just need to differentiate between self and foreign. Okay, so these are the cells. Macrophages are also called as APCs, antigen presenting cell. Why I am telling this? Because this APC will be having direct link for the conversion of innate immunity to the adaptive or acquired immunity. Later on I am going to explain the exact mechanism. So what are APCs? APCs are the antigen presenting cells, and not only macrophages, dendritic cells, and the third one is B cells, B lymphocytes, B cells. These three are called as basically APCs, antigen presenting cells. Why? What do I mean by a antigen presenting cell? Like these cells are responsible that they will present the antigen that have entered in our body, like and they will present that antigen to the T cells to activate the adaptive immunity. They are responsible to present antigen to the T cell for the activation of adaptive immunity. So this is the innate immunity. They were working on the basis on the principle of self and foreign antigen. Just okay. Now let me tell you how this APC will activate adaptive immunity, and why adaptive immunity or acquired immunity is called as very specific immunity. Stay with me. So what will happen? So for example, let's start with the tissue. For example, this is a tissue. Okay, a bacteria, a foreign particle have entered here. Now what will happen, as I have explained, that in the tissue there will be specific macrophages or neutrophils that will be present. They will identify it, they will take it as a foreign particle. Obviously they have been trained to do so. So they will engulf this foreign particle. Now this foreign particle have been engulfed by the residing macrophage. Now what will happen, let me make it bigger so that we can understand this concept in a better way. So what will happen, initially this bacteria will be trapped by the phagosome of the macrophage. Okay, this bacteria have been trapped, and later on this phagosome will diffuse with the lysosome. This is the phagosome that has trapped the bacteria, and this is the lysosome that have digestive enzymes to break down the bacteria. Now what will happen, both of these phagosomes and lysosomes, they will diffuse, and all the digestive enzymes that were present in the lysosome, they will attack on the bacteria that was trapped by the phagosome. So now this bacteria will be broken down, will be digested into small fragments. Okay, now this is a macrophage in the tissue. Now what will happen, these fragments will be expressed on a protein called as major histocompatibility 2. Okay, these fragments will be expressed on a protein, major histocompatibility 2. They will expressed on a protein, and now they will move to the nearest lymph node through the lymph vessel, this macrophage, and now this macrophage will move to the nearest lymph node. So for example, this is the lymph vessel and this is the lymph node. Okay, this is the lymph node and these are the lymph vessel. Now what will happen in the lymph node, we know that our lymphocytes, B lymphocytes and T lymphocyte. B lymphocyte will form and mature in the bone marrow, T lymphocyte will form in the bone marrow and they will mature in the thymus. after maturation, B lymphocyte and T lymphocyte, they will come and they will sit in the lymph node. They will stay in the lymph node. Now B lymphocyte are present in the lymph node and T lymphocyte are also present in the lymph node. Now what will happen? This APC, macrophage, APC, it will come. APC will come and it will present the antigen fragments to the T lymphocyte, T0, naive T cell. Okay, I will explain about in the later videos. I will explain about the different types of T cells, how they are formed, how they are mature, and how they will reach to the lymph node. All these things will be explained. Actually, I am summarizing these things right now because today we are going to talk about the innate and adaptive immunity. Okay, so this is the reason I am not focusing on types of T lymphocytes. Okay, so this is a naive T cell. Okay, this is a naive T cell. Now what will happen? Naive T cell or T helper cell, it will be having specific receptor to identify this antigen that has been presented by the APC, antigen presenting cell, 3 types, antigen presenting cell, and this naive T cell will be having, T helper cell will be having a protein, CD4 protein, that will interact with this MHC2, okay, to make this interaction more stronger. Now what will happen after this interaction? This T lymphocyte will release some cytokines like interleukin 4 and interleukin 12, okay, and these cytokines will cause the proliferation and differentiation of other T sites. There are lots of T cells present in the lymph node. It will cause a proliferation and differentiation of other T lymphocytes into Th1 and Th2. So what will happen? The T cell on which this interleukin 4 will act, they will be converted into Th2, and the T cells on which interleukin 12 will act, they will be converted into Th1. Okay, now Th1 will release interleukin 2 and Th2 it will release interleukin 4 again. Okay, now Th1, this interleukin 2 will act on the cytotoxic T cell. Cytotoxic T cell. This is the other type of T cell that is already present in the lymph node. Okay, so this will act on this cytotoxic T cell, and now this cytotoxic T cell will activate it. Okay, and this Th2 it will activate B cell. B cell will be converted into plasma cell, and it will start making different antibodies. How this B cell will be activated, how cytotoxic T cell will be activated, there are lots of other stages, protein interaction, there are some co-receptor, all these things will be discussed in detail in the later videos. Okay, so now my point is, now this cytotoxic T cell is activated and this B cell is activated and it is forming antigen. B cell is making antibodies. B cell is making antibodies. Antibodies against which antigen? Antibodies against the antigen that were presented by the APC. Okay, it means these antibodies, they will work very specifically. It will not work like this. These antibodies will go and they will keep on binding on all the antigens present. No, these antibodies, they will interact with only that antigen against which they have been activated. So this is the reason I am talking about. This antibody is very specific, and if this antibody is very specific, this will come into the adaptive immunity. Okay, innate immunity was like any pathogen is coming, this pathogen will be engulfed and phagocytosed by these cells. So it is for innate immunity. Okay, it was not very specific. But these antibodies, they will work very specifically. So it means B lymphocyte and T lymphocyte, they are working very specifically. So B lymphocyte and T lymphocyte, they will come into the adaptive immunity. They will not come into the innate immunity. Okay. Similarly, this cytotoxic T cell, for example, how let me tell you in very briefly, I am going to explain how these antibodies work. For example, this was a tissue. Okay, this was a tissue, and this was the macrophage who have engulfed bacteria and presented the antigen on MHC1, MHC2. Okay, now this is the big tissue. In the tissue, you know, there will be lots of other cells. In tissue, there will be lots of other cells. This cells, and there will be some other bacteria as well. These are the bacteria. Some of the bacteria have been trapped, have been entered into the cells, normal healthy cells. Now, point: these antibodies will go into the tissue that is infected, and what they will do? They will bind. They will bind over the cells. When these antibodies will come and bind over the pathogens, they will neutralize their effect. Point number one. What is the function of antibodies? Neutralization. And opsonization. What is opsonization? They will neutralize their effect and opsonization. Like when they will act on their pathogen, they will now act as a sweet candy. They will attract other nearest phagocytes, nearest macrophage, neutrophils. They will attract other phagocytes to engulf these pathogens. They will call the neutrophils. They will call the macrophage. Please come and engulf. This is a pathogen I have trapped. I have attacked over it. This is a pathogen, and you have to eat it up. Now macrophages and neutrophils, they will come and they will keep on digesting the these bacteria. So this is called as opsonization. It will also activate a complementary cascade that I will explain in later videos. Okay, now cytotoxic T cell. Some of the pathogen I have explained that they have entered into the cells. When they have entered into the cell, it means right now antibodies will not be able to act on these macrophages, these pathogens, these bacteria, because antibodies cannot get into the cell. Now what will happen? How these bacteria will be removed? Now cytotoxic T cell. Okay, I am going to zoom this one single cell. So for example, this was a cell, and these bacteria have been entered into the cell. Now cytotoxic T cell will go. Cytotoxic T cell, it will go, and what will happen? This normal cell that has been infected, what it will do? It will again digest the bacteria by its lysosomal enzymes, and it will present the fragment of that bacteria to the cytotoxic T cell. Cytotoxic T cell. Now this cytotoxic T cell will come. It will recognize this antigen. This antigen. If it will work only on those presented antigen against which it was activated. So this cytotoxic T cell will be very specific. It will not work like this. A cytotoxic T cell will go, and if some other antigen is presented to this cytotoxic T cell, it will not work against that antigen. Okay, new cell will be formed against that particular antigen, and those will act. This cytotoxic T cell has been formed against this antigen, so it will go and it will recognize only that particular antigen against which it has been formed. So this is the reason these cytotoxic T cell and antibodies, they will work against very specifically. So this is the reason they are called as adaptive immunity. Okay, now what will happen when this interaction will happen? Now this protein is MHC1. MHC2 is present on the APCs like macrophages, B cells, dendritic cells. They will engulf the bacteria and they will present the fragment of the bacteria to the T cells in the lymph node with the help of MHC2. 2. MHC1 is present on all the nucleated cell. All the nucleated cell of the body, and they are responsible to present the fragment to the cytotoxic T cell so that it may come and perform its function. Now this cytotoxic T cell will recognize, and with the help of CD8 protein, this T cell, that is helper T cell, naive T cell, it was having CD4 protein to form attachment with the MHC2, but cytotoxic T cell have CD8. All these things will be explained in the later videos with full detail. CD8 protein that will interact with MHC1. When this interaction will be formed, it will release some enzymes, perforin and enzymes B. The mechanism of those enzymes will be explained in later videos. Now what will happen? Whole cell will be destroyed. Okay, so this is the reason what I am talking about, that cytotoxic T cell and plasma cells are B lymphocyte producing antibodies, and these antibodies and this cytotoxic T cell will work very specifically. So this is the reason these cells belong to adaptive immunity, acquired immunity, specific immunity, while these cells they belong to innate immunity. Let me tell you one more important thing. This natural killer cell is basically a type of T lymphocyte, but this belongs to innate immunity. In the later videos, exact mechanism of this cells will also be explained, and I will explain why this belong to innate immunity, not acquired immunity. I think now you are very much clear about the innate and adaptive immunity. Now let's talk about the types of adaptive immunity. Stay with me. Thank you so much.